Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Every single one of you out there that's currently listening, watching, tuning in, welcome to Pumpkin Emoji. My name is Rodrigo Borges, and I'm one of your hosts. And tonight, as always, going forward, I'm joined by Jeffrey Koval. Say hello, Jeff. I can't really, I can't really say the image, so. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. We are almost ready to go. We're just giving people a little bit of time so we can get started. Let's go over the stuff that each of us here has done. Um, oh, apparently we can't hear Jeff.
We don't can't hear Kay either.
Oh
No.
my
Apparently.
God. Okay, let's give it one more shot. Let's give it one more shot. It's the first Jurassic Park opening. Uh, yeah, they're gonna eat all our viewers. Hi, I'm Rod, one of the hosts, creator of Onyx 52. This is Jeff Koval, my
Can you
co-host.
hear me now, Rod? They heard your intro already. You don't need to start from the very top.
I'm sorry, I got the
No, it's okay.
got the
No, I'm glad
heebie-jeebies.
they called us early before we started, doing a deep dive. And
Yes.
we're joined again, even though we just said this by Kay, the creator of Hi, I'm Mary Mary, which
Hello.
repeating myself, just wrapped up a couple months ago.
Yeah. Okay, cool, awesome. Kay, how are you feeling?
I'm pretty good. It's a fine October night.
Ooh. A nice old night for some spooky stuff.
Oh,
Well, I
yes.
mean,
We had a windstorm the other day, so a lot of fallen trees and whatnot.
Yes.
See, at the very beginning of the pandemic, actually, Rod came to me and wanted to do something similar to this. And then, the world ended and continued to burn for 6 months. So we kind of
Oh my
sat on our
God.
hands for that. We had
Yes.
like one stream and we were very eager to do it. And then life happened.
Yeah.
So he approached me, a couple weeks ago. It's like, Halloween's coming up. Let's actually give it a shot this time. And I'm very, thankful you took our offer, Kay, and hopefully we have fun with this and
Yeah.
get the spooky spirits coming in.
Indeed. Yeah. Jeff and I had the idea to do this Twitch school of Eldritch learning back before the pandemic started, which was literally it was kind of the same idea of this, um, but it was going to focus much more on it was going to be less casual. It was going to be more of a formal sort of master class kind of thing. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, let's get this ball rolling. Um, so we'll have Amnesia: The Dark Descent playing in the background. I'll be playing it. But yeah, let's get this thing started. Kay, you created Hi, I'm Mary Mary. Um, when exactly did the idea hit you at first?
Well, I have one thing
So,
before we
oh yeah, go
start
ahead.
that. Do you have a pet name for that? Because I know saying project names all the way out sometimes it sounds weird to the people who make them. Does that make
That is
sense?
For
true.
me, yeah, no, I get you totally. I usually just call it Mary.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay.
Because fun trivia fact, originally the title was just going to be Mary Mary, and then I found out there's like a Christian singing duo named Mary Mary, and I didn't want to get the two confused publicly, so I added the Hi I'm. Like that's literally where it came from.
I can only imagine like fans of the Christian duo coming up to your videos going like, "Oh yeah, I love G. Oh my God, what is this thing?"
Seeing spooky effects or like a gore
I
effects
think
that
when
I
I
think we're on
uploaded
the
the
wrong
first
channel.
video,
Oh my
I think when I
God.
uploaded the first video, it was still the channel was still called Mary Mary, and then I told a couple IRL friends, "Hey, look this thing up," and they're like, "I just see church songs," and it's like, "Wait, hold on, I need to differentiate."
Is there something you want to tell us, Kay? Like, are you converting? Like, what's going on? Oh
Yeah, it
man.
really, the high I'm was a secondary thing.
Okay.
Because for the
There you go.
longest
You
time,
get
it was
some
just called Mary Mary.
deep-seated trivia right there, right off the bat.
Yeah, like right off the bat, we a pumpkin emoji exclusive.
We got the exclusive scoop. So
um,
now we're doing. This is the original Amnesia.
yes, the Dark Descent.
So
We're
when
we're
this
going back.
actually, what's that? Oh yeah, no, we're going back. When this first came out, and I want to say it was just because of all this stuff, I was interested in it, and at that time, it was like I was a snob with movies. I just wanted like found footage movies, and then when it came to like video games, it was like I only wanted weird, quasi like indie games or like games that really weren't talked about. Yeah, because it was a different social media environment. You didn't have these things being immediately advertised to you.
Hmm,
So like anything that got like a creepypasta written about it, like that's what we played. Like that's how I found Minecraft. That's how I heard of Amnesia.
there.
So this is very, I don't think I've played more than 2 hours of this, but it always has a very special place in my heart because of that whole like vibe to it.
God, I think I found Amnesia through being 13 years old and finding PewDiePie playing it, and that's how I had found it at the time. And then just watching through all of those Let's Plays.
Right. Y'all have such relatable stories. I found out about this game because of Mass Defect from Kitty0706.
Is that's a channel?
Kitty0706 did the Team Fabulous 2
Oh,
videos,
oh,
like the
oh, oh, that's right, that's right.
yeah,
We were
and
just talking about that. Yeah, yeah.
and Mass Defect was like obviously a Mass Effect parody, and it was so stupid. But I remember that I was like, "Huh, this is a real game? Like that? It's not just a joke." And I looked at
It's
it.
not a bit.
Yeah, oh, it was absolutely not a bit. I lost my mind a little bit. But the thing that I really enjoyed about Amnesia when I first played it was the simple fact that the game the game kind of tricks you into scaring yourself for no reason. And
It's paranoia in a nutshell.
absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that stuck with me the longest about this game. So, hey, when you came up with the idea of um, Mary, how was that like? Like, where did it originally come from?
It originally kind of came from, ultimately I was like, I want to make a series, but I have no idea what. Um, but I am a very, very visual person, and so I'll get flashes of images in my head just really randomly, uh, just from random things I see or random music I'm listening to or whatnot. And I'll say, hey, wait, that thing I just saw in my head rules. I want to piece that together with something. And I write that down. And then multiple kind of images come out of nowhere just from consuming other content and ruminating on them. And then I start to kind of pull everything together and say, hey, wait, I'm noticing a recurring theme here in some of the stuff I'm thinking of. Could I riff off of this?
Hmm.
And that was mostly the second half of my freshman year of college, just me doing that for 6 months of, oh, wait, these are some really cool images and themes I could bounce off of. And then I started pulling that together and making a narrative out of it. And I think I still have, and it's still dated like April 2016, this scrawled out rough summary of what eventually became Hiimmarymary.
Right. Hey.
It's interesting that you say visually learning or inspired because we've known each other for a while, but when I first got the whisperings of this project, it was very it looked like a movie poster, like the beauty that whether you want to call them a monster or a character, like that image with the, was it a porcelain mask, or it looked like a porcelain
It's
mask.
supposed to look like one.
No, and it's shocking. And I think some horror in the last 10 or 20 years have kind of keyed in on that, like just uncanny valley, like the strangers or the purge mask.
Yeah,
Oh
And
absolutely.
yeah.
like when I saw that, I was like, like I said, I thought it was like some AAA movie coming out or
Oh.
something. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, all the effects had their appeal, but like that one in particular stuck out to me. So it's interesting, that's what inspired you, and that's what left an impression on somebody else, coming across it.
Yeah, because I definitely had some key shots, like some key images that I was like, I have to build this in like, for example, the shot of in the second video, Dislikeness, where we first see Mary, that shot of her and Mary standing opposite one another in the mirror.
Right.
Like that was one of the big ones I saw. I think one of the very first ones I saw that I didn't use till the end was just this there's a scene when Mary makes contact with the crawling darkness and then everything just goes completely haywire.
Mm.
And the crawling darkness makes a circle around her head. And
Like
she's leaning up against
sort of
a
like an
wall.
inverted halo kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's one of the ones I held on to and was like, I want to use that somehow. And I think, let me think, there were a few others that were big kind of images I riffed off of, or I think it was a whole lot of like putting these images together and then establishing a narrative through each one. So before I would write my shot lists for each individual video, I'd say, hey, do this thing, or hey, include this shot of this, or
Mm.
and then there were a few that I would just get rid of if they weren't thematically relevant. But it was a lot of scene with XYZ, or scene with this thing happening, or show this thing. And it would be a lot of just kind of filling in the gaps as I went.
Right. So it'd be safe to say that you would come up with sort of a set piece for each video and then find how you could make it thematically relevant.
Yeah, I think that's how I approached a lot of, especially the early videos, like the first 5 are, I'd say the first 5 are very differentiated from the rest of it, because I think by video 6 I knew what I was doing a
Right.
little bit
Yeah,
more.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
You kind of hit the ground running and
Yeah.
learn to walk, learn to run.
Right. I think that's interesting you say that, because one of the big questions that I think I have for this specific for the show itself is that what would you say changed about not only the way you make the videos but also the way you approach just the series writing from the beginning of your creative process to when you were more, I don't want to say mature, but more like experienced with your own world. What do you think changed from the beginning?
I think the first in the beginning it was a lot more chaotic, but chaotic in an actual chaotic sense and not in a chaotically ordered sense. Like, I kind of created some guidelines in the future for what I wanted to do, but in the beginning it was like, oh, I sort of have an idea here, I'm just screwing around. Also because I had very little intent of anything to do with it and wasn't expecting anything to come of it, so it was partially just me playing around with After Effects and trying to make these images I saw into a bit more of a reality. That's because I like to call those first 5 videos more of like an introduction arc, because each video meets a new monster.
Hmm.
Oh, so it's almost like a preseason or like a intro course.
Yeah, kind
to
of.
the world.
Kind of like a, here's what's going on. Here's
Okay.
here is the situation. Let's build the world. Let's establish the conflict.
So, and for the people in the chat, Kay does have some behind the scenes and Q&A completely about the series on a behind the scenes channel. Is that right, or
Yes.
is it
Yes.
paywalled or something? It's unlisted.
Oh no, it's public. It's out there.
Oh, that's right.
Just search hiimmarymary Q&A. You can try to search K period, but it's a little bit, you'll have probably less luck.
Hmm. Can we try to get that link on the chat for them?
Yeah, no, we'll follow. Oh, I can do that. Yeah, I'll take care of that right now.
Okay, cool.
Something that came to mind, considering that we're still, well, at least in North America, we're still in a pandemic. We're still kind of on lockdown. But I was thinking, early on when we were nothing but inside, thinking about the series itself, I know how much work actually goes into it. So it's not like I'm not trying to like diminish or anything by saying minimalistic, but in terms of a production, it looks like it's just you and maybe somebody else helping. Was that something that was of necessity, or is that like what you wanted to do from the beginning?
I think it just kind of happened that way. A lot of what I ended up doing with Hi, I'm Mary Mary was me just kind of leveraging what resources I had at my disposal. Because at the time, most of my friends were either away at college or um, didn't or had very complex schedules. So I didn't really want to have to try to schedule getting other people around. So I thought, oh well, I can shoot it in my house. I can play all the characters. And that gradually was that gradually became a theme. And when I was writing the story together based on just a couple of things that, oh, I don't have a ton of really spooky locations nearby me other than like the woods
Mm.
and my house. And the other thing is I definitely leaned heavily into the whole house as horror, mainly because I was still feeling an incredible amount of spite over the cancellation of Silent Hills
Oh,
and
there you
the
go.
taking
Fair
off of
enough.
PT from the PlayStation Store. I continue to be a little bit mad about that.
Same.
But
But
God, what we could have had.
yes,
And
we,
that's a
we might
little.
still have it. I mean, Kojima and Del Toro are still working together, so
See, and then
It's true.
PT, that's another classic example that is a little later in the whole time period I was talking about, but like that's exactly like I didn't care about the next Call of Duty that was coming out. I play it with my brother, but like no game excited me except like weird shit like that. Like PT, that came out, people downloaded that I guess teaser, that demo,
playable
and like that
teaser, yeah.
was I lived in a house with a couple of my buddies at that time. Like that was just the time sink, and it wasn't that long of a demo or anything, but just theorizing how much can happen from two hallways and lights going out. Like
Absolutely.
that's amazing to
Yeah.
me, more so than the demo itself. Like when
Yeah.
people take that and run with it, storytelling and talking to their friends about it. That's the kind of stuff I like.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think about how PT for me was at the time I think for some reason freshman and sophomore year of college I was just binge watching horror movies on the weekends,
Yes.
just looking for things to scare me. Um, and I was finding I was getting more freaked out by watching playthroughs of horror games than I was horror movies. Um, and PT in particular, like, it scared me shitless. I was like, oh God. And I actually asked a friend on my floor, hey, you want to just come hang out in my room and we can watch like a full playthrough of PT from the beginning to the end? And then literally, I'm not even kidding, we turned the lights out, we watched PT, just this playthrough on my roommate's television, and I must have put like a soda can in the freezer, and you shouldn't do that
Oh
because it
no.
Oh no,
exploded
it
in the
exploded, didn't
middle of
it?
while we were watching the game. And I screamed. And so I don't know if maybe that's why I associate PT with something that scared me, or I
Actual
mean I'm
trauma.
mostly
Oh
yeah.
my god.
uh,
You poor
but
thing.
oh my God, it scared me so much. It flew the refrigerator door open and just came at me.
That is amazing, honestly.
It's
I
a
love
great
when
story to associate with PT.
life conspires against you for some environmental storytelling. Like one time, I'm sure you guys have seen it, the found footage movie Grave Encounters. There's a
Yes.
bit with their clocks going haywire and stuff. And the person I was with, we were hanging out and then like the power went out or something. And we were looking around for candles and like we went into the kitchen and the microwave oven and the like alarm on the oven top, like everything was blinking, like midnight or whatever. And it was like the power literally just went out, but it was literally what we just saw on TV,
Oh
20 minutes
no.
earlier.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, thanks for giving me nightmare the environment.
Appreciate it, house. Thanks.
Yeah, apartment.
Right, but I think it speaks. I think it speaks to sort of a, this thematic inversion of safety when it comes to Mary. I think the thing that struck me the most was this idea of, oh god, sorry, I got scared for a second. Um,
You're actually trying to run for your life right now.
no, it was just this thematic inversion of this safety that is to be seen in the light. You have this this moment where Mary tests the hypothesis of oh I'll just keep the lights on, I don't have to worry about it. And this, and I don't want to say rule breaking because she tested it to see whether it was a rule, and it was just this subversion of like safety that I think hit me very strong with it, and I think it resonates with what you were saying, Jeff, with um, with just doing stuff in a house. This inversion of safety, of like, oh, when you're home, you're safe.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, no,
definitely.
and it's like when, like you said, a place of comfort, a cabin in the woods, a vacation home that gets flipped on its head, or like, I mean, someone in chat, Dante, is saying, huge list of like hugely successful indie horror in the last couple of years. I'm just thinking about more, specifically what Rob brought up about safety and comfort and light. Like everybody in this chat, everybody in the in the text right now has an opinion about the movie Midsummer, which was a horror movie that took
Yes.
place almost entirely during the day. And it's about
Mm.
a relationship breaking down and friends not letting you down, and it's just like, I mean, it's a very stressful and effective thing, taking things that are supposed to be there for you and just removing them from the equation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Um, the one thing that I will say that struck me instantly with Mary was just it to me the way that things were being shot in the beginning felt very much like what was the name of the movie I just watched it on Netflix just a little while ago. Alive, I think, hashtag Alive, and it completely different themes, completely different type of
Was it the zombie one?
yes.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for
I'm
that. I
not
was like,
familiar
we
with that.
have to. It very much felt like I honestly thought it was like a prequel or something to Train to Busan,
So
because
so did I.
it has like
So
that
did I.
same vibe to it.
Yes. But the thing is, like, I've loved zombies ever since I was a kid. But to me, this idea of we got another follow. Cool. This idea of the trying to just use storytelling as a method of maintaining sanity. That which I saw
That's a
with
dangerous road to go down.
no.
No, I'm serious. I completely, I'm not going to interrupt you, but it's like the struggling artist. If that's at that point what you're using as an outlet, you are
Absolutely.
probably suffering greatly at that point. But
Yeah.
continue. I don't mean to cut you off.
Right. The way I would put it is less in real life. I mean it more as a thematic thing for a character to use. Right. Um, the thing that I noticed when I was watching hashtag Alive was that I was like, this feels very much like what Mary was doing. This idea of like, I don't even know if people out there are watching. And then finding out later that yes, people are watching, and that giving them personal and emotional support. I thought, I don't know, that there was a very relatable thing of just finding out that Mary does have the support that she didn't think she did.
I
Mm.
think that's an effective tool, like in all storytelling. It's like even if it doesn't immediately come across to the viewer, why these people are doing it. Sometimes you just have to give the character a shovel and tell them to go dig a hole. And
Yes.
either there's going to be a purpose for it that they find, or you're screwing with the viewer. You don't want to be insulting to the audience, but sometimes motivations are obviously unclear from the get go, and it's like, is this going to pay off? Is this character going to have salvation? Are they going to get over that hill, or not? Or are they just going to keep suffering? And
Right.
that's a fun thing to do too. Just
Right.
keep dragging the agony across.
I mean, you either learn something from succeeding, or you learn about the folly of trying. It can go both ways. Um,
Oh yeah, the chat's bringing up the classic Alan Wake, which is
oh God, yes.
very very close to my heart, and which has DLC and the new game Control out recently that involves the story, but I haven't gotten to play it yet myself.
I
But
haven't done it either.
yeah,
I only
Control is an amazing game in that
it is.
world.
Um, I was very happy to see a game that I'm a bit biased, but I was very happy to see a game that created a very believable SCP Foundation esque thing that just did it for so much justice. You know, it felt like the people making Control really loved it.
Yeah, to that extent, Kay, or were there any like, I mean, I'm sure we all share like the big online horror out there, but like as what inspired you before making Mary and everything, or things that have come up since you've created it? Were there any favorites out there? Besides PT obviously being a major release, things that were born online, things that your mom and dad don't know about.
I mean, definitely, I gotta attribute a lot of it to the Slenderverse,
Mm.
Oh
because
yeah.
that's what I'd been like a long time listener, first time caller in that respect. I think because I like found Marble Hornets in what is it? God, 2011, um, and had then from there just kind of nosedived into the Slenderverse from there, and just became an ardent fan in that respect. But then I also watched a ton of just online found footage stuff and weird videos and viral videos. But like I really loved, and I bring this up often, I really loved Lonely Girl 15, even though that wasn't
Oh
horror.
yes.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think that
That
was
is like
my
one of
first
the
experience with that
A-listers.
sort of genre. Like I think there was maybe about 2 seconds that I was like, is this real? Oh my
Yes.
god. I mean, again, I was in 7th grade. So
I mean,
I will be
the
the
I
first time I saw Marble Hornets, I was shaking in my boots. Like
I
I
will
was
be the
literally
first to admit
looking.
addicted
that
so
somewhere
fast.
out there is a discarded private YouTube I have that there's an outgoing message to presumably Troy Wagner behind the Marble Hornets account saying, "Hey dude, is this real?" from me. Yep,
That
it's out
makes me
there
very
somewhere, but
happy.
fortunately YouTube kind of gutted their messaging system, so it'll never see the light of day.
Amazing. I
But
love
yeah,
that.
but all like, you
God,
can fall
I
down
think yeah.
that rabbit hole. Go on.
I think and this is bringing up something that maybe if you went to like a book fair in middle school or elementary school, you might catch this one. But if anyone was familiar with Patrick Carmen's Skeleton Creek,
Hmm.
that was like one of my first experiences with stuff that was actually interactive, because the book itself was a closed story. It was a book, and then you go to a website and you type in a password to get you go in to type in a password to get a video. And but then as a marketing tool, they created Skeleton Creek is Real, which I fell for completely in my middle school and elementary school days, and was convinced, because there was so much stuff around. I was convinced, oh my god, the Fort Sumter or whatever dredge, that this is real. There's something happening here. I like was digging through archives and typing in passwords in like 5th and 6th grade, like taking this so seriously.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that was one of my first real experiences with that.
That's
And that
excellent.
kind of informed things going forward. And then seeing, oh wait, there's a whole bunch of people who do this for funsies. That's awesome.
Can
Yeah.
I be one of them?
Yeah.
That was
Literally.
honestly, yeah, that was honestly the way I went about it. Um, God, this is a little embarrassing to admit,
I
but
was gonna say, where are you going with this? Go
yeah,
for it.
no, you know this because
I know.
yeah, I had just not to get too deep into it, I had just come off a really bad relationship, and I was like, well, what am I gonna do? You know, like I was very depressed, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make a show. I'm gonna make a show about the SCP Foundation because I like that, and I am a professional actor. I can do that. Um, it was honestly kind of an angry like, I can do this.
Well,
So
spite is the best encouragement sometimes.
honestly,
Like, come
in
on.
a way, yeah. But then before I had filmed anything for Monarchs 52, I remember that Oh boy, hold on. Messed up boy. Sorry, I
Oh
got
yeah, he's right around that corner.
Oh,
yeah.
oh no.
um, I remember that I before I had filmed anything, I had the bright idea to um I sort of did the prison thing, like find the biggest guy in the prison and make him your bitch. Um,
Oh.
no, it's no. I just went up to the Everyman Hybrid Facebook page and I sent
Yeah,
them a message.
it was a cold open of, hey, like basically, do you want to work together thing? And it's like 6 months from the end game, like everything was done. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, maybe. Like, what do you want from me, man?
But was it you? Were you the one that answered the first time? I thought it was
Yeah,
Vince.
I'm only ever the person answering that stuff.
Okay. Um, God, I remember that
Yeah, no, I have to deal with these cold open 2 a.m. messages.
I'm so sorry about that.
No, I mean, we're joking about it now, and quickly I was gonna say your experience with the Creek story, okay? That was me and the
Mhm.
series of unfortunate events when I was growing up. Like, they didn't lean
Ooh,
so
yep.
much into, like, they didn't say like this is real, but they definitely had like the marketing that allowed you to follow a rabbit hole on your own.
Yes.
So I definitely bit that line, and I was hooked for life. But taking a step back, I mean, we can joke about how cringy we were when we found these stories in middle school and high
Oh
school.
yeah.
But like literally, the only reason we're sitting here right now is because of that. One way or another, we ended up here, and I think that's kind of cool. Whenever you think of all the bullshit that came with it and all the minor or major irritations that came with it, there's a lot of good to come from it as well, and that's kind of inspiring.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. As
God, I
for
was reading back the other day, like some of my, because I had this old fandom blog. I'm not naming it, but there were Slenderverse posts on that Tumblr blog.
good luck finding them
Uh,
assholes.
there's one that still gets reblogs to this day. Um,
Oh no.
You got that Tumblr cloud.
I think it's like got like at least 200 reblogs on it.
Amazing.
Um, but I was reading some of those back, and I'm like, girl, no.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
It would always be like, this is such a good episode, or just things like that. It's like, I was 14, guys.
I mean, yeah,
What do you want from
especially
me?
when we're kids. But when you look back at something, you have to have a visceral reaction to it, or that means you haven't grown up.
Yes.
And you don't have to
Absolutely.
Of
stop
course,
having
totally.
fun, but you have to react to it one way or another. Like all sorts of past cringe is just hilarious to me. But I know how tough it can be looking back at some of that stuff. Like, I mean, personally, like talking about projects, like I will not watch certain videos of like things that you've played Monday morning quarterback, over, in your head about like, I should have done this, we should have done that,
Yeah.
we should have
Yeah.
fixed this edit before we produced it, and like not even about the EMH, just like little stupid shit, everywhere in your life. You always second guess yourself because it's like, if I had one more hour to work on that thing, you could fix it. And
Mm.
yeah, I guess we could bring that back into the whole topic of tonight with Mary. Were there any? I mean, we want to be on a good note too, so you don't have to
Of course.
furrow your brow about it. But like, were there any major scenes or effects that you wish you could spend another 2 weeks on? Go back and take out of time and you know change.
I think I know I mentioned this in my Q&A, but there was just like a couple of I'm very testy about the first 5 videos, because again,
Yeah.
I was still just kind of experimenting at the time.
Mm.
But I just I I consider this probably my most momentous fuck up, in that I forgot to mask out an entire hand.
Oh no.
And I just see it every time. But thankfully, it's shrouded in shadow, but I know it's there.
And
So
that's all
that's
that
one of those
matters.
ones that it's like, oh, I can't watch this. Oh, where's the hand? It's an arm. It's just an arm. I
God.
forgot the hand.
Yeah. That is way too
And then,
relatable.
and then just like little things that completely slip by you, or I think like there's this one moment where I might have forgotten to mute a shot and you can vaguely hear some ambient noise in the background that I didn't really want being there. Just like the little things, because if I sit too long, I start to pick things apart and say, "Oh, well, this should be like this," just kind of forgetting the fact that it's been 4 years.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
I think I put a code because I was still on the ARGs equal codes always kind of kick. Um
Binary is a cruise control to cool, like binary
Yes,
code scroll across
absolutely.
I
your
was
screen and
I was
static.
still on that a little bit on my was it my third video? No, it was the fourth. The Darkness Moves, that there's a code there, except instead of using any sort of pre-existing code, I was like, I'm gonna make up my own,
Same,
Oh no.
which ended up
same.
being so incredibly difficult for everyone to figure out that I felt so bad. Somebody figured it out, but it was based on like the positioning of keyboards and complete oversight in that I was like, wait a minute, not everyone has the same keyboard setup.
Hmm.
Um, and I hadn't really realized that at the time. And so if I could go back, I would have probably nixed it completely. Because it didn't really help more. It was more like, ooh, codes, let's put a code in.
Yeah, like a puzzle for the sake of a puzzle, which some
Yeah,
people really like that. So I know you probably have your opinions about doing that choice, but who knows? Somebody out there that's probably like that might have been their favorite part of the entire project.
could be. That's true.
I know personally, like finding and watching ARGs and stuff, it's like I give so much more credit to like personally our audience and audiences in general of it, because as much as I like writing them or making them, I do not have the patience for 80% of the puzzles out there. And I
Absolutely.
find it absolutely incredible that if you have 5 dedicated viewers, you give them some sort of puzzle, they'll outsource that and they'll figure that out within a day. But it's I know, like I'm sure you felt this way when you were first writing it, or the things you don't think about, like you said, the keyboard position. It's like point A to B what you're trying to do with this puzzle, and when you're sitting there conceptualizing it, it's like, is this going to go over people's heads or are they going to figure it out instantly? That was something that I always like was always trying to weigh. And it's what do you do it to move the story along, or are you trying to make them achieve something?
I
Right.
think I succeeded that second time around when I put some kind of interactivity in it, in the form of glitched out photos on the blog, because people figured out that if you like layer the two completely glitched out photos together, you get something in the difference between the two of them.
Right.
Um, and so I think that supported it. The entire goal of that was to figure out that they needed to ask Mary to live stream.
Hmm.
Because I would live stream as soon as they figured it out. Um, but the first one was more like, oh, let's just throw a lore dump in there. But then the second time around was, I think, God, it was like 2 years later. That was the live stream that I got violently ill at. Oh my God.
Oh no. Yeah, no.
If I looked like shit in the live stream, it's because I was.
I
uh,
mean that's always a balancing act too. It's like especially if you introduce that sort of mechanic, then is that going to be like, are they going to keep trying to do that after that piece of story comes out? I know there's a running gag. A friend of mine, Jay, like we wouldn't even talk to each other. He would just send a message to me saying email sent, and it's like the one time early on in some project that the audience gets a response to an email, then that email account is going to be dead and inundated with messages of people trying to move the game along by doing the same thing. So
right.
it's always interesting, like how, to me, how the game makers either listen to everything or like how they choose to block out the noise, because is this mechanic going to be something that's consistent throughout the game, or is it a one-time thing that unlocked it and it's done?
Right. And making sure
Mm.
that people understand the difference between the two is such a difficult thing to do. Is how do you do it
Well,
without breaking immersion?
yeah, or you're trying to do it without being heavy-handed and insulting to them too, because
Yes.
it's not their fault for trying to, like, if I find a mechanic in like a fighting game or a shooter that I like, I'm going to abuse that thing until my joystick breaks. So
Yeah.
it's like, why wouldn't you do the same thing in a
And it wouldn't
narrative
feel
driven
good
game?
it wouldn't feel good for the developer to be like, hey, why are you trying to do the thing that worked? Fuck you. You know, like
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to again insult them.
yeah. Um, it's funny you mentioned, Kay, that you had a code that that was very difficult to solve. I had a code that had no solution because I was an idiot making it.
Wow.
So
Oh no.
yeah,
Oh
So did you
no.
screw
yeah,
that up yourself, or
I did. So the one thing that I had thought about when I first started was, um, I don't have the patience to create a lot of puzzles, and I wanted to kind of bring in a codemaster, you know, somebody that knows how to create an engaging and fun and solvable puzzle. And um, I I actually came to the conclusion. Sorry, I'm a little scared. Uh, I'm trying to
again,
form
he's
cohesive
fighting for his
thoughts.
life, and we're just sitting here laughing.
Yeah, please do. That's my favorite part about everything. Um, so I was just sitting there trying to figure out like, oh, how am I gonna make interesting puzzles for people to solve? And the thing is, I actually want to bring this up because I still don't have an answer to that. You know, what is the what I would ask what is the what are the elements to a good puzzle that even people that don't like puzzles can't help but want to get involved.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, you know what? I'm thinking about this whole topic about, if you make the unsolvable puzzle, how do you directly speak to, to the audience without breaking immersion? Now, okay, were you trying to stay like completely removed from the audience? Did you try to keep immersion going as long as possible?
I definitely tried to a degree.
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't go public on my out of game Twitter until Mary was done because I didn't want it to get confused with the official Mary Twitter. And so I
No, that's a
basically
great point.
operated out of game on Tumblr pretty much entirely behind the scenes, mainly because I was really, really concerned that right around the time I was starting up Mary, we were having the situation with Marina Joyce, and the
Mm.
similarities were there was a lot of
Oh my
similarities,
goodness, that's
and
right.
Marina
so
Joyce.
I
I'm not
really
familiar with that.
didn't want somebody. Yeah, so she was this YouTuber that all of a sudden kind of started acting very strange in her videos, and there was this speculation that something was really wrong. That what there were so many theories about what was going on. And I
Yeah, I
think they
mean,
like had people check on her.
hmm, you could Google
Um,
that for like a not necessarily true crime deep dive, but a real event that scared a lot of people.
Mm.
So I get that story of a girl potentially a young woman trapped in her house while this is happening in people's real lives on the same platform. That could be kind of heavy to deal with. So
Right.
you're trying to avoid like merging those two streams of you know media online, I guess.
Yeah,
You
I
just
think
didn't
I'd
want to
even
like
seen
come
some
across
people
as,
refer to Hi and Mary Mary as the new Marina
oh
Joyce. And
no.
so I was like,
Oh.
Yeah.
hold on. I need
Let me do
to
some
do
behind
a
the
little
scenes.
bit of, I need people to know that this is fake because I don't want someone, like tracking down my IP address and, actually hacking me
Yeah.
in the name
Yeah.
of safety. Um,
Or in the
and so
name
I
of puzzle
basically just
solving.
wanted to, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, and also because some of the topics were extremely distressing to people, and
Yes.
that grounding aspect of, oh wait, this isn't real. There's
Definitely.
someone here, and I can send them a message and be like, are you okay? I mean, I really am glad that I had that Tumblr up when Gone dropped video 16,
Yeah.
because I recently rewatched it and was like, holy shit, that was so much more brutal than I realized.
It's kind of
Uh,
punk rock.
and people were coming to me like, oh my God, are you okay? And so thankfully, I, that had existed, so people were able to separate that. But if you were having trouble separating fantasy from reality and you saw that, like I'm just glad that I had been around as the creator, at least even if it was like the bowels of Tumblr, just the fact that I existed a little bit at all just
I
kind of
think,
made that
yeah, that's
backup.
incredibly, what's the word for it, like prescient and mature to think about that,
Yeah.
because I know a running gag with me and my friends early on, like we're talking freshman year of college, the running gag was whoever gets a cops call on them first wins. Like, who thinks there's a missing person, or who thinks the gore is real? And it's like, if you need to comfortably set yourself up outside like you did with the Tumblr, I think that's a great idea. Save you a lot of stress
Especially
down the
because
line.
some of it was so brutal.
Yeah.
And I just basically wanted to be like, hey, here's a space where you can debrief. And I
Yes.
tried to debrief a little bit. I think I tried to debrief a lot when Gone dropped because it was so traumatizing for a few people to see it. And because a lot of people were like, oh my God, is she actually okay? Like, I want to
Mm-hmm.
check in with the creator. There were people DMing me like, hey, are you good? And so I'm glad that it existed as basically like a little bit of a lighthouse in the chaos.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think, at least to me, something that always sticks out with that is, again, it's like, when are people trying to, like, poke at an online narrative? When are they trying to be helpful, or when are they just being like a creep online? And as a
Yeah.
showrunner, it's so hard to juggle those things. And as people are saying in the chat right now, it's like, how much do you or do you not engage with the audience after, out of the game's element, after the game's element? Do you completely cut it off? Do you do it in limited venues, or do you completely open yourself up to it? And
Yeah.
I don't think there's a right answer, but I think people, one way or another, through their experiences, know what they certainly prefer.
Yeah, because then again, there's and I don't want to get into recent events, but there's something that you and I talked about, Jeff. It's this. Did I talk about it?
Like
Anyway,
parasocial relationships.
not just
Mm.
parasocial, but more like, we deal with subject matters that can be, like Case said, traumatizing to certain people,
Sure.
and us included. We're not free from trauma, but we sort of have this this responsibility um, to make sure that the people that engage with us, our stories, are safe. That the people that
Mm-hmm.
participate are, have a space where, if things get a bit too much, they have a space where they can talk, a space where they can breathe and sort of seek support from each other, and from ourselves as well. I just think it's I don't know. There's a fine line that we have to toe between making an engaging story and making sure that the people that engage with that story, the people that give us airtime, are being taken care of.
Are safe.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. And I think what's interesting is not so much the other side of it, but just talking about like dealing with an audience and dealing with strangers online. We, in EMH, we had various interactive portions, but something that comes to mind when you say you're keeping them safe was when there's the trials portion of the game. And
Right.
it's like this big bad monster is making the players, you know
Do
do
stuff.
something,
Yeah.
like lose things
Mm.
and put themselves through stress. And in my mind, in real life, that would be like, all right, cut off your thumb. All right, you have to fight somebody, or you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
sacrifice an animal. And it's like, we know we don't want to be responsible for a 13-year-old,
Killing their
attacking his
dog.
brother, or yeah, killing his dog.
Yeah.
We didn't want to, like, so it was kind of like, when we put those challenges out there, I remember there was a pocket of people that were like just so negative and against it, like, wow, this is fucking lame. I'm like, I'm sorry, we're running the game in the guise of a cult leader, but we're not going to actually be a cult leader and make people
Yeah.
harm themselves. So it's like, there is that balance there, but it's like, you're never going to make people happy, so keep
Yeah.
them safe, at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a really good point.
So just some things that popped out from the chat to me is, Silent Smiler says something they learned about on fiction is try not to make a puzzle that is too easy for you yourself to solve. thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's a fair way to look at it. Yeah.
Because I think we get in our own heads, and it's like, all right, let me make a puzzle. What's a puzzle to me? And it's exactly that. It's like, think how strangers are going to approach these types of things.
Right. It's Noir. Silence Miller's Noir.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, Noir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
Welcome.
And there was something else, another good message I saw. I might have lost it. It's okay. Yeah, no, but there's a good chat, and people are talking about us doing this type of stream more frequently. I mean, Kay, I'd love to do this again, but I think we were just planning this as like a one-off thing. But as we get closer to Halloween, maybe there'll be more opportunities to, keep horror chats like this going. But I think I've been having a blast personally,
Same.
even though
Yeah, that's
Roddy
great.
running for his life.
Yes, I am, and it's okay. I'm having a great time.
And, Anderson's a good dude. He's in the chat.
I think, I don't know. I'm trying to think about like the balance of everything that we do, and you said it yourself. Like, there's no real way to make everybody happy. As long as it is, as long as people are dealing with, as long as we give the audience, the freedom to interact, we have to take care of them. You know.
Yeah.
If we're dealing with characters, then we can go buck wild and like cut somebody's make them cut their own arms off. But it's there's this, I don't know, just it's like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. You want to put the players through difficult things, but you still want them to
have fun
to finish the story. You can't party wipe on the first encounter, because otherwise it's boring. Everybody dies, great, cool, I guess.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of fun with that. And yeah,
I think I heard something recently. I'm going to butcher the quote, but it was something like horror is not about like violence or gore or fear itself. It's about intense empathy. And I think that's something that maybe not like our specific projects, but I say that out loud. But I think between the three of us here, I think that's definitely true to what we've at least made popular recently.
Yeah,
like
that is absolutely
three major
true.
Projects here, I think empathy is a huge component of it.
I mean, especially with Mary, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say whether it's the like friend and brothers in my project or Mary surviving. Yeah, that's an incredibly sensitive subject. It's like this person is alone, and you want them to succeed, and there are very visible things trying not to allow that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. Damn. I will ask though, just going back to that idea of like this the limitation of you really only had access to a house and the woods. That those kinds of limitations are normally what compose the genius of projects like these, especially with yours, Kay. Like
like forced limitations.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask, what were the challenges that you faced with such a limited space, and what did you look for? What did you look to for inspiration, for your camera work and for your effects and whatnot?
I think. Let me think on that one. I think to approach my camera work, a lot of it was, oh, is this pretty? Is this neat? But also, sometimes it was something as silly as my mom's sitting in the next room and I don't want to see her.
Camera angles are your best friend.
Literally, sometimes shots were muted because like my mom was talking on the phone, and I was like, well, I just want to get this video done.
Yes.
So this video is gonna be silent,
but also I just had to
so.
hide my face, or like, what's an artistic way I can approach this to make it look nice, but also make it seem like it was absent-mindedly set up, particularly in the first several videos, because it's the first several videos is just woman finds camera, screws around for a while, just like filming stuff for no reason. So
Right.
there needed to be like a midpoint between set up deliberately or just set up absent-mindedly, like it was just kind of omnipresent.
Right.
And yeah.
No,
Okay.
that's great. I mean, it's on simple on paper, it's like a person is stuck in this house. So from production, you're like, all right, let's get trapped in this house.
Yeah, quite literally.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would literally be just like, how can I get a good shot that isn't too, I didn't want to go too deeply into anybody's rooms, like act
Mhm.
of like my parents or my sibling. So it was more like, where are the fairly open spaces I can work that keep things a little bit impersonal? Like, I don't want to have it, like, I want it to seem like a home, but I don't want it to be too identifiable. Also, just
No,
from a safety thing, like, I think I
yeah.
glitched the whole glitching out the photos was partially like, I don't really want you to see my siblings. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
And just things like that. Um, and they all kind of worked into the themes.
You know, I think that, I mean, that's silently kind of brilliant, because those sort of things that like limit you behind the camera, I think like uncannily and silently come across to the viewer. It's like they know it's a story about a house, but they could probably identify one bedroom in that entire house.
Hmm.
And I think that's one of those things that lingers with you. And even if you never say that out loud or define it, you know, it might have just been a production restraint constraint on you, but that's something that's, if somebody's going to bolt awake having watched that series and be like, wait, what is wrong with this house? And it's like nothing's wrong with it, but to the viewer, you've only seen so much of it. And I
Yes.
think that's
Yeah,
brilliant. I
like I
love
think
that.
I shot of my bed one time, period. Like,
What was it?
never
The
again did I shoot in my bedroom.
right. That was the Shadow Man creeping over.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was like the one time, or maybe I think you see my bed one other time, in the second video where I'm sleeping with the pillow over my ear to drown out Mirror Mary laughing. But
Right. But
other
that's like
than
a
that, you
completely
don't
different
see that.
angle. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just such a different angle that the second, they just look like different rooms. I didn't even know they were the same room until you said it right now. No, I'm not even kidding. No, I was
No,
like,
no,
yeah, that is
it's
true. That
funny, the
is the
stuff
same
that
place.
smacks you in the face.
It is. Um,
Yeah, I tried to stay away from making things too familiar.
right.
You don't want to get them too comfortable either.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Also, because it's like the amount of times my parents would say to me, so are people gonna like know our house now? I'd be like, I hope not.
I'm trying
Not
not,
if
Mom.
not if I do my job right, mother.
Well, I mean, it's funny, and I think going to a project like that, it has to be slightly more, not slightly more. It has to be stressful doing that completely on your own. But I think when you do work with more people, you open yourself up to more accidents, more information slipping out. And
Yes.
a funny story that I think when we did Q&As for our project, we might have brought this up, but like we tried to, go taking a few steps back, we tried to maintain complete immersion early on. We never gave our last names out, and we weren't broadcasting that we were, making this, except to our personal lockdown Facebooks. And my brother, who, it's funny because now, like, I mean, he does, but he doesn't really use like Facebook or social media anymore. Like, he hates it now. But when he was a middle schooler helping us out with the project, or
Hmm.
just early in high school, he was like at some like rec soccer game in the stands, and some girl was like, "Hey, I know you," and he's like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, the YouTube stuff."
What?
And it's just like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah.
And then
Oh my
later
gosh,
on,
that's scary.
yeah, later on Facebook, he gets a message from somebody, and he's just being friendly. He's like, "Yeah, what's up? Yeah, nothing much. How is your brother? What is your brother and the guys doing?" And then he just stopped. He goes, "How do you know me?" And he's like, oh shit, this is somebody from the game, this is somebody from the audience. And he tried to back out, but at that point, once it was confirmed that he was related to, he was my brother, that's when the floodgate broke. And it's like,
Oh man.
doing that completely on your own, you can probably isolate yourself more, but if you get
Oh,
help
for
and you
sure.
work with more people, more people can give secrets away.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
I personally didn't really have to deal with that because every person that was involved with M52 was in the industry. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we started doing it when we were all in college in LA. So it was like
Yeah, that was, everybody had a series they were working on.
exactly. So it was so much more like it was less like, oh my god, they found out, and more like, man, when are they
Hey,
gonna find out?
like and subscribe.
Exactly. That was literally what happened. We were just trying to get people to know what the show was. And God, I can only imagine how terrifying that would be for your brother to just be like, oh my god, like
I mean,
people
at the time, he probably thought it was funny, but I think we were all mad at him, like as if it was his fault, and it wasn't. But
right.
he's like, we kept this up for 6 months. Yeah, I mean, God knows, 10 years later, here we are talking about it. But
Oh
when
my
when you're
god, it
first
has been
doing
10 years.
when you're first doing these things, it's like you're simultaneously on top of the world and in the lowest pit you can imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The when I first started, I would just look at everybody else's work and see how much attention it got, and honestly, like it was not good for my mental health.
Oh yeah, it's hard to work on anything and just have it met with a resounding nothing.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
Um, so I want to get into I the stuff I cleared with you, okay, earlier. Um,
Hmm.
just want to kind of get into that more that deeper part of just the analysis that we're trying to do. Um, so one of the many interpretations of the characters of Mary um, is that each one of the characters, each one of the entities or monsters, however we want to describe them, are anthropomorphizations of either the results of mental illness or the symptoms or just interpretations of mental illness itself. Um, how did your personal experience um, influence not only their design but also the physicality that you put into these characters, the voices you put into these characters, and apart from that as well, the way you filmed them, the way you went about putting them into the story. How did all of that come together?
Hmm. Yeah. So I think in each case, they were definitely just aspects of things that I have experienced. And in, I think I'm just going to go monster by monster with this. Um, I think they had just been simultaneously a combination of things that visually I thought were really cool, but also things that made sense thematically to what I wanted. Like, for example, Mira, Mary, Maria, Beauty, whatever you want to call her, because I never really gave them official names.
Mm,
Oh,
Yeah, I did that
I
on
love that.
purpose to
I
see
didn't
what people
realize
would
that. That's
do.
amazing.
yeah.
Um, and like in her case, there's a lot of aspects of self-image, perception of your body, perception of yourself as an adult, as a sexual being, as, and there's a lot of that aspect in there. So she is she like has that element of the broken strange porcelain doll, but in reality, if you look up close at her mask, it's not porcelain. It's, and I mean, you could call this me kind of sliding this into the canon after the fact, but I mean, it's crayon on a plastic mask done almost purposefully sloppily, but it's supposed to look a lot prettier from a distance. But then when you get up close, it's this sloppily drawn imitation of beauty. and then she takes off her mask and her teeth are rotting and her skin is all gray, and it's just this sort of facade of all of this stuff we project. And I mean, like, I deliberately tried to make her very strange by making her the color of the mask very skin toned, flesh toned. And instead of painting, because I didn't really want to try to find a paint that matched my skin tone, I figured instead I would use. I actually took pictures of myself, brought them into Photoshop, grabbed the hex codes of a couple of different skin tones, printed out paper in that color, and then chopped them into triangles and Mod Podged them onto the mask.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
That's really incredible.
And that's why the color looks a little bit better blended in. But then I wanted it to look like I didn't want it to look as perfect as you think it looks initially. Because like up close and do not touch, when you kind of get a better look at her, it's all cracked and grotesque.
Yeah,
but
Right.
it's not nearly
but
as
then
clean as
and then the way
appears.
Mary sees it is very, very different. Like Mary sees her as this ideal, this beautiful thing that she constantly compares to herself. There's that deliberate act of comparing in, God, is it video 6? God, is that daily life update? What did I title my videos?
Mood.
Isn't it funny? Over
That's a
time,
damn
the
mood.
wikis become more of a resource for us than for the viewers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People.
God, because some videos, like, I deliberately would pick the title, and then some of them would be like literally seconds before upload. I'm like, what am I calling this? Oh, last 8 months. There you go.
Oh yeah, the objectivity or poetry of the titles. It's like, are you being straightforward or are you going to be a writer with it?
Yeah, and then you try to do both, and you end up with something that doesn't make sense for anyone but you.
Like an entire sentence for a title.
God, yeah. Let me think. So that's kind of what filtered into the aspect of Mirror Mary. The shadow is a lot more of like the shadow man, the shadow monster, is a lot more of like that slower, creeping dread, that sort of sadness that is slow moving, constantly trotting along, that never really stops moving. It just keeps, you're just a little bit faster than it.
It's a very
I'm
natural
highly
fear.
speaking in metaphor here.
Yeah.
And so as such, it's completely textureless. I'm gonna go into this when I do my breakdowns of how I made some of my effects on my channel, on the behind the scenes channel.
Yeah, you
but
absolutely don't
it's
have to give
entirely
anything away.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no. It's very much just it's completely featureless. It's a black mask. It's like the mask in the After Effects term. Like, it is entirely one color. There is no definition. It's flat. And the way I kind of designed it, it's not something that actively moves quickly. It moves very, very slowly, just kind of plodding along. And the way I designed its motion, that Mary moves around the house, and it will eventually catch up to her if she stops moving. But if she just kind of meanders around, she can avoid it if she keeps going. But as soon as she stops, as soon as she takes a break to nap, it catches up and wakes her back up.
Right. God. That,
I think
yeah.
I remember I like designed it almost. It reminded me of just different mechanics of enemies in video games, because I think I was just playing a lot of video games. Interestingly enough, frictional games, Soma,
Yeah.
conveniently,
Oh
as we
my
were
God.
playing
Yeah.
Amnesia, informed a lot of that, because I was playing Soma and watching how the different monsters moved, and you have to evade each one different ways, and that was something that kind of went into how I kind of created the monster movements, both from a thematic way and from a way of, there are these sequences where Mary has to sneak around the house from different monsters, and that's gonna those sequences are going to be different depending on who she's dealing with that night.
Right. Different strategies for different
and
monsters.
yeah, and so I think I even straight up borrowed partially from like the Slenderman mythos and partially from games like Soma, the looking directly at monsters causes a distortion aspect.
Right. They mess with the camera.
But yeah, but I kind of played with that a little bit with Mary, and that it's more her response that causes the camera to freak out than the actual monsters themselves. I think that's something I tried to make clear towards in Anagnoresis. I don't know if it got through.
It did. To me, at least.
Oh, nice. Awesome. But then, let's see, moving to the Veiled Lady. I always called her Boss Monster. That's just what I called her.
Big bad.
Yeah, because she was easily the boss of that trio of the three of them. The Regina George of shitty mental health.
Oh god, it's the plastics.
Literally. That like crappy inner voice that constantly is telling you that everything you believe is fake and nobody wants to spend time with you. Like, I literally had a sequence where she's doing that to Mary while she's on the computer, on Twitter, talking to people, and Vale's just sitting there like, they don't want to talk to you. They're not interested. Things like that. And that she's also the most malicious of the three in that she deliberately hurts Mary towards the end, like physically. So I designed her physicality to be, in the beginning of the series, she's a lot more unwieldy. And I tried to move her as if like I was never fully balanced, so she was always shifting her weight. But then towards the end of the series, as she grows stronger and her influence grows over Mary, she stands straighter and she tends to tower over Mary more often. It also helped that several times in Anagnoresis, my sister played the Veiled Lady, and my sister happens to be taller than me. So
there you go.
That helped out a lot. So there was aspects of how each of the monsters changed throughout the story. Let's see. And then the Crawling Darkness is the one that gets the most complicated because it has a very personal meaning to me, but also just like there's a surface level and then there's one like a deeper one that I probably just won't go into, but largely it's extremely chaotic, extremely bizarre, constantly changing shape. It doesn't really have a form that works fully until Anagnoresis. Like, it keeps changing its appearance. It keeps like each time you really see it in its core, like in Do Not Touch versus Anagnoresis, it looks different. And I think I kind of finalized its design in Anagnoresis as this shifting, changing thing. But one of the united kind of aspects of it is that every single time Mary makes contact with it, she gets significantly more upset and either pushes back or goes into more of a panic and gets overwhelmed. And so that I tried to make it almost, it's hard to describe something that does not feel humanoid in comparison to any of the other, because the other monsters had humanoid aspects, but the Crawling Darkness was more formless and shapeless.
Darkness.
Literally. And it was very morally gray. Like, you really, like, I wanted it to seem a little bit of a wild card, a little bit of a what is this thing? What aspect, like where is this? What is this thing? What does it mean?
Right.
And I mean, it's one of the things that helps Mary to her final success, despite also causing her significant problems in the rest of the series. So it's supposed to be very strange and kind of chaotic and bizarre.
Right. When naming it, did
Or not naming it.
right? Yeah, you didn't officially name it, but the name reminds me of one of the names given to Nyarlathotep, um, one of those Lovecraftian gods. Uh, he also goes
Hmm.
by the Crawling Chaos, if I'm not mistaken.
Ah, there you go.
Oh. See,
Yeah.
originally I just called it the Crawly. I think I adopted the Crawling Darkness when people started being like, how do I refer to this thing?
Right.
But I just called it the Crawly for the longest time, just because
That's
it
fair.
just sort of moved along, kind of doing its own thing. I like got distracted by legs in the fountain.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, what the heck? What? Who are you? What is this?
I think this is further than I've ever gotten.
I don't remember any of this. But go on, Kay. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So I think a lot of I think that kind of wraps it up because I got through all four. I mean, technically, if we want to just mention the woman in white, she is very much like a grounding mechanism, a voice of reason. I think originally I was gonna just call her Reason, but I
Right.
thought that was a little too on the nose. Um,
I mean,
but she
nothing wrong with on the nose, to be honest. I like the.
that's true.
Help me out,
I
good
think she
guy.
was supposed to be welcoming, but also weird because Mary doesn't trust her, and so I don't really want the audience to implicitly trust her if Mary doesn't.
Right.
So she's still equally as weird, but there's always this kind of soft sort of blur whenever she kind of does her thing. Things are much calmer, a little bit more ambient, but in like a pleasant ambient kind of way rather than like a horror ambient.
Yeah,
She's supposed to be a very different balance.
Right.
there's no trust there, but it's a comfortable image. It's very
I mean, she's not being
different than the other
chased.
thing.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
not being
exactly.
chased. So
Yeah.
it's funny. It's like, yeah, Mary doesn't get chased by the lady in white. She chases the lady in white instead.
Yeah.
Oh, how the turntables.
Yeah.
I think that's excellent, and you gave us a very in-depth look at your creatures in the world that spawn them.
Yeah.
Your characters, or that's why it's always funny. Like, what do you call them? The bad guys, the monsters, the antagonists,
George.
the Georges of your world.
So before we go, we're getting close to the end of our allotted time.
One of the viewers will be sacrificed to the Pumpkin King.
Yes,
We haven't determined that.
because otherwise, the Pumpkin King comes back to full life and kills everybody, very much like Cabin in the Woods.
There's no pumpkin emoji on Twitch emotes. That's disappointing.
Oh, no.
I will ask Kate. Do you have any projects that you want to publicize right now? Do you have anything specific apart from that, from your behind the scenes stuff, which we will put the link in the chat so that everybody can access it?
So I've been very deliberately cryptic on the fact that I'm working on another project, but it's still so early in pre-production right now for me to really talk too much about it. I know I created a little bit of not really an ARG, but just a little puzzle to find a mood board that exists out there. If you watch the Q&A, you'll find all those clues, and if you scroll through my Twitter, you'll find the link because somebody solved it.
Okay, that's good.
Let me think. But yeah, I refer to it whenever I talk about it. I use hashtag. Hold on, I'm gonna have to go through the title to make sure I list this out right. Hashtag
Saint Lani Dolce.
Literally STLDOCE, and that is a abbreviation of what will hopefully, if I keep it, become the title. So anytime I use that hashtag, I am hinting at stuff for that. But I'm gonna be doing behind the scenes stuff. Maybe I'll do a one shot or two from time to time. Depends on my whims, I suppose.
I'll put that hashtag
But I'll
in the
mostly
chat as
be.
well.
I'll mostly be working on that kind of quietly, and then every once in a while putting out behind the scenes stuff. I'll be actively shitposting on Twitter, and making obscure software jokes maybe 3 people get.
But the more followers you lose per joke, the more you're winning.
Exactly. That is the measure of success. It's the DJ Khaled album, Suffering from Success.
Yeah, the more people that find you incomprehensible, the better you're doing in life, is how I look at it.
Yeah. Kay, why don't you choose one of our viewers to sacrifice?
You do not have to choose to sacrifice one of the viewers.
You have to choose one.
I was not briefed.
No. It has to be what she has to choose. I'm sorry.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Wait, do I actually have to choose somebody?
Choose a viewer to sacrifice to the Pumpkin
the
King.
victim of this week.
Oh, she's the sacrificer.
The chat?
Yeah, just look at chat, choose somebody to sacrifice, and then I'll summon them into my room and I'll kill them. Go for it.
We'll tweet about it after.
Oh, God.
That's what we'll do. No, legit. We're gonna pick a horror movie classic death, and one viewer a stream will befall that fate, and that'll be our follow-up tweet for the stream.
And you might hear them die. I'm not sure yet.
So it's.
Oh God, I'm gonna die this time. Oh shit. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're actually again running for your life.
Does this work? Is he still gonna be able to kill me if I'm up here?
This is like the classic monster, right? The guy who runs around like an attack.
Oh no!
Can he get me?
There he is.
I don't think he can get me.
He's gonna give you a kiss.
Oh Jesus!
You're staring right at him.
I can't look at him. Ah, fuck! Jesus! I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the scream. Okay, I'm gonna lose.
Are we sacrificing you?
No! I got other shows to do. All right, Kay, choose a viewer, and then we'll let everybody know who the next guest for next show is gonna be.
All right, let me think. I mean, with all these pumpkin emojis, I think with all these pumpkin emojis, I gotta say, Glitch Bear Does Horror is impressing me here.
Oh.
Glitch Bear Does Horror is the first sacrifice for the greater good in pumpkin emoji.
I'm killing them.
We will deal with them after we wrap the stream up. Kay, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And you know, we're always
thank you so much for having me.
Are always very easy to reach one another, but thank you for sitting down and doing this. This was a blast.
Yeah, this was amazing, Kay.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Great.
And
this was really fun.
Can't wait to have you over again.
Hey.
For sacrifices in the future.
Yes, more people to kill. And okay.
I'll bring my cloak next time.
Yes, do it. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for interacting on chat. We really appreciate it. Tune out. Wow, great. Tune in next Tuesday, the 13th.
Don't give it out yet. We'll leave them hanging over the weekend.
But
you got hype is what drives the world. It is the spice melange of internet culture.
Come on, kid, you gotta tickle their balls a little bit. Come on.
Jeez.
What?
You gotta go lay down. We'll announce our next guest very soon, whether it's tonight or over the weekend. I think Rod needs a glass of water, and we will get that for him. Thank you all for watching this.
Thank you all. Kay, you have been incredible. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. This has been Pumpkin Emoji. We will see you next time.
You're even saving the game. I like that.
See ya.